Hello everyone, let me show you right off the bat why tracing programs straight back to the corporate vision is the ultimate superpower of an elite program manager. When you look at the official study guide, enterprise strategic planning is formally defined as the process by which an organization defines its long-term direction, vision, and mission, allocating resources to pursue strategic initiatives that fulfill stakeholder expectations. Now, in very simple words, enterprise strategic planning is just like a captain drawing a master map for a ship before leaving the harbor, deciding whether the ship is sailing toward a trade port in the east or a fishing ground in the west, so that every sailor knows why they are pulling the ropes. Think of it like this. I remember consulting for a major global logistics firm where the CEO announced a bold corporate vision to become the greenest zero carbon delivery network on the planet within 5 years. Every department in the company immediately looked at each other and asked, what does this mean for us? That corporate vision became the North Star. Let's dive into how a lofty corporate vision gets translated into an actual funded program mandate. According to the official study guide, programs serve as the primary vehicle for implementing strategic initiatives, translating high-level executive vision into actionable, coordinated chunks of work. In very simple words, think of this translation process like a master architect taking a billionaire's dream of building a futuristic glass eco-city and drawing the actual blueprints for the first neighborhood, water plant, and solar grid. Without those blueprints, the dream is just a nice chat over coffee. Let me share a quick story with you. Years ago, I worked with a telecommunications giant that had a corporate vision to provide lightning-fast digital connectivity to rural communities. That vision was too big for just one regular project. So the executive board created a multi-billion-dollar rural connectivity program. That program was broken down into subsidiaries, building cell towers, laying fiber optic cables, and training local technicians. Because we traced every single activity back to that original corporate vision, nobody ever lost sight of why we were out there digging trenches in the mud. Stay with me for a moment because this traceability is what keeps program budgets safe during executive audits. So now that we've mastered how vision becomes a program mandate, you might be wondering how we map the components of our program to make sure they always point in that exact same strategic direction. Well, that brings us right into our next step. Now watch how this connects directly to component mapping and keeping your program tightly locked onto corporate goals. The official study guide states that component mapping involves ensuring that every individual project and activity within a program directly contributes to at least one strategic objective outlined in the enterprise plan. In very simple words, component mapping is just like sorting your closet. Every single shirt, pair of shoes, and jacket must have a designated hook or shelf. If you find an item that doesn't fit your current wardrobe style, you throw it out or donate it, rather than letting it clutter your space. Think of it like this. I once stepped in to rescue a troubled enterprise software program where the previous manager had approved 15 different side projects just because department heads asked for them. When we ran a strategic mapping audit, we discovered that 8 of those 15 projects had zero connection to the company's new digital-first vision. They were burning money on outdated technology features. We ruthlessly cut those disconnected projects and redirected those funds into the core features that mattered. That is the power of rigorous component mapping. Let's talk about what happens when the ground shifts beneath our feet and corporate vision changes overnight. According to the official study guide, programs must maintain strategic flexibility, allowing program managers to realign program outputs and benefits when enterprise strategic priorities shift due to external market disruptions. In very simple words, strategic flexibility is just like driving a car when a sudden roadblock forces the highway patrol to redirect traffic. You don't keep driving straight into a brick wall just because your GPS said so 5 minutes ago. You gracefully follow the detour to reach your destination safely. Think of it like this. I remember leading a financial technology program when a sudden new government banking regulation completely invalidated our core business model halfway through the program lifecycle. The executive board had to shift the corporate vision from high-risk global investments to secure local savings products. Because our program was built with strategic flexibility, we didn't panic. We adjusted our component roadmap, realigned our stakeholder expectations, and delivered a revamped program that fit the new corporate vision like a glove. Don't worry, we'll take it slow and look at how you manage these pivots without losing your team's morale. So, now that we've mastered how to handle strategic shifts, you might be wondering how executive sponsorship acts as our safety net during these transitions. Well, that brings us right into our next step. Let's explore the critical relationship between our program and the executive sponsors who hold the keys to the corporate kingdom. The official study guide emphasizes that program governance structures must maintain a direct reporting line to executive leadership to ensure continuous strategic alignment and resource support throughout the program lifecycle. In very simple words, having a strong executive sponsor is just like having an experienced mentor standing right beside you in a boxing ring, watching your back, guiding your moves, and throwing in the towel or extra resources when things get tough. Think of it like this. Have you ever managed a project or program where you felt completely abandoned, fighting for budget scraps against other department heads while senior leadership didn't even know your name? That is a nightmare scenario. When I coach my PgMP students, I always tell them that building a rock-solid relationship with your executive sponsor is non-negotiable. Your sponsor is the bridge between your daily program execution room and the high-level corporate boardroom where strategic visions are born. Stay with me for a moment, because once you master this executive communication channel, getting approvals becomes effortless. We have arrived at the final stretch of our strategic journey, and let's tie this all together with a winning exam strategy for the PgMP certification. The official study guide highlights that exam questions regarding enterprise strategic planning will test your ability to evaluate whether a program remains justified, aligned, and valuable to the parent organization amidst changing business conditions. In very simple words, this means whenever you see an exam scenario where a program is facing budget cuts, scope creep, or leadership changes, your correct answer choice will almost always involve checking back with the corporate strategic plan, consulting the executive sponsor, or realigning component benefits to match the overarching company vision. Think of it like a detective solving a mystery. No matter how many clues and confusing twists are thrown your way, you always trace every single footprint right back to the main crime scene. And in program management, that main crime scene is always corporate strategy. I always tell my live class students on exam day, look for options that talk about reassessing strategic alignment, consulting the portfolio steering committee, and protecting core benefits, because those are the hallmark answers of a true PgMP professional. You've got this, and we are going to conquer this entire exam together step by step.